Alright, you guys, the world has just changed, and I'm pretty sure that 99% of people have not realized it yet. The World Economic Forum just confirmed last week what we all feared, that AI is indeed replacing millions of jobs. Many people think they're safe in their corner office, but my humble opinion is they're not. And I think the real story is not just about who's losing the job, it's also about who's about to make a fortune from this shift. Sure, AI is replacing lots of jobs, and we're gonna come back and talk about this. But I think that's not a prediction. We all knew that it was happening already, and it's being confirmed. But I think what most people are getting wrong is the fact that it's not just low-skilled jobs. White-collar workers, the ones who thought they were untouchable, are also now at risk. Also, it's not happening in the future. It's happening right now. If you're waiting for a safe moment to adapt, you're probably behind. And it's not all bad news, because while millions of people panic, we're gonna talk about how many, a few are getting ahead of the curve and making more money than ever. So I think the real question here is, are you going to be on the right side of the shift? So in this video, we've got a lot to cover. I'm going to break down and analyze the World Economic Forum's biggest warning signs, what they actually mean for you, and what you should expect. We're gonna look at the surprising jobs that are at risk and the ones that AI is creating. And we're gonna talk about how you can position yourself now before it's too late. There's a lot that we need to go through, so let's get straight into it. And before I pull up the report and we dissect it, I need to share with you guys a story that I promise is really relevant to this topic, even though at the beginning it might not feel like that. Bear with me. A few weeks ago, I went to this acrobatics show with my family. There was this moment where the lights were dim and the spotlights were flickering, and this guy, the main performer, he climbs up, I don't know how many meters or feet in the air, and then jumps and twists, flipping in the mid-air, and everybody thought it was impossible. You know, it's that moment when everybody goes, and sure, the moment ends and they both land perfectly and the crowd goes wild. It was gorgeous, right? It was a beautiful moment, and you might be thinking, okay, but what does that have to do with this video? Well, guess what my brain decides to think about while they're doing this incredible moment? AI. I know, funny, right? But what hit me was AI can never take this guy's job, right? Because this kind of work is untouchable, it's a raw skill, it's human unpredictability, and it's a live experience. I think he would never need to worry about having AI take over his job. But then I started thinking, we keep asking, what jobs will AI take? But I think the real question is, what jobs will AI never be able to take? Because those are the jobs and the skills that will thrive, right? And sure, it's not only about acrobatics. There's a lot more to it, okay? So if you're interested, I am happy to make a follow-up video where we can talk about what are, in my opinion, the top 5 types of people and their skills who will be able to thrive, who will dominate the next 20 to 30 years. So leave a comment down below and let me know. But now let's come back to the World Economic Forum, because that's when it hit me. You know, we keep talking and worrying about jobs that AI is taking. And sure, we're gonna talk about how many, but we also need to talk about the jobs that AI is creating. Because it's not just about the disruption in the sense of displacement, okay? Sure, there are a lot of jobs that are disappearing, but AI and automation are also a huge opportunity. It's not just about eliminating jobs, it's also about creating a ton more. And I want you to think about it a little bit, because before machines, every textile had to be woven by hand, right? Back in the 1800s. And then the power loom came and thousands of hand weavers lost their jobs. But also new industries exploded, like factory work and mechanics and mass production jobs. They all reshaped the way economy worked, right? The world did not collapse, it just adapted. And if you also think no longer than 20 something years ago with the internet boom, right? Think about the yellow pages. Everybody used to rely on yellow pages for phone numbers and ads and all those travel agents that were walking everywhere trying to sell the yellow pages. And then when the internet made those obsolete, obviously the complete industry related to the yellow pages vanished. But what happened? Web developers, social media managers, content managers, e-commerce entrepreneurs, jobs that did not exist before, they became the new norm, right? We would not be doing what we're doing here if technology would not permit that. So I think it's important that as we go into analyzing this report, we are also aware and mindful that it's not the first time this happens, okay? Sure, it's the first time when it comes to AI, but it's not the first time the world has gone through this kind of transformation. And the pattern applies again and again and again. So we just need to be mindful of understanding the pattern, which is what we're going to do now by dissecting the report, but there's no need to be fearful. We just need to be open and understand what's going on and then strategically plan what our next move is going to look like. So I guess what no one's talking about is that AI is also creating jobs at scale, so many that I don't think you can even begin to understand. And the jobs of the next 20 years, probably, maybe even 10, I don't know, it happened so fast. I don't even think they've all been quantified yet because a lot of them don't even exist yet. So how can you predict something statistically if it doesn't exist? So let's talk about hard numbers. According to the World Economic Forum, this Future of Jobs report that they just released, the global workforce is going through massive transformation, okay? 92 million jobs will disappear, but 170 million new jobs will be created. So if you think about it, simple math says 78 million jobs are the net gain in the workforce. And yet, most of the conversations we hear are about what's being lost, not what's being built. So let's be strategic, as I was saying earlier. What new jobs are emerging and what is the demand coming from, right? You want to understand where that's coming from. So if we take a look at the report from the World Economic Forum, these are, in their opinion, the fastest growing roles of the next decade. Number one, AI and automation specialists. You might be wondering why. Well, because AI isn't self-sustaining. Somebody has to train, refine, and manage it. So if we look at the projected growth, AI and machine learning specialist roles will grow, according to the World Economic Forum, by 40% in the next 5 years. So if you want to think, okay, what type of careers can I probably look for? Well, AI trainer, people who fine-tune AI models for specific niches or industries. AI ethics and governance specialists. You can ensure that AI is fair and unbiased. Trust me, we've been doing that since 2017. I can tell you that story another time. Process automation engineer. You can look into how you can eliminate repetitive tasks with AI agents and bots. Okay, so let me give you an example so you can grasp what this actually means. In 2023, companies like Google and IBM created entire teams dedicated to AI ethics and bias reduction. I mean, this is a role that did not exist 5 years ago, right? So think about it. Number two is big data and AI analysts. Why is this important, you might be wondering? Well, because AI runs on data, and that data needs to be collected, cleaned, interpreted. So there's a huge need for this type of jobs. I've talked about it many, many times. By the way, I'm going to link here a video that you might want to watch after this one. And in terms of the expected growth, data science jobs will grow by 35% by 2030, according to this LinkedIn jobs report. So if you're interested or curious about going into this area, then data governance specialists will be a big deal in the next 5 to 10 years. So you're going to ensure ethical use of AI-driven data. You can also look into AI-powered or non-AI powered business intelligence analyst roles. So basically, you'll be helping companies use AI-driven insights to make decisions, or non-AI driven insights. You know, you don't have to infuse AI everywhere, but data science and analytics definitely going to be a great area to get into in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think another one that will become even more important than it is today is deepfake and synthetic data analyst, because detecting AI generated fraud and misinformation is going to become so big in the next 5 to 10 years. So let's take a look at a real world situation. In finance, AI-driven data analysts are now replacing traditional stock market analysts. Or in marketing, you can see that AI-driven insights help companies hyper-personalize customer experiences, creating entirely new marketing roles. There's been this example where there have even been dedicated ads during football or soccer matches, depending on who was watching, and those were generated using AI. So there's a whole new world of AI-infused marketing particularly when it comes to data science. So another job that the World Economic Forum report expects to see soaring over the next 5 years is green energy and sustainability experts. And I think there's no secret that climate-related conversations have becoming, unfortunately, quite prevalent. So what type of jobs can you look into? Well, renewable energy-related jobs for sure, because those are expected to grow quite a bit. I think 29% or something like that. So you can look into carbon footprint data analyst, for example, where you're tracking emissions and driving a company's corporate sustainability governance. You can be in charge of reporting. Maybe you want to become something, I don't know, like an AI-powered climate modeler, where you use AI to predict extreme weather patterns. Unfortunately, we need more and more of those nowadays. Or you can be a smart grid engineer, where you can design optimized energy grids. If you've read the news for the last couple of years, I'm sure you've seen that governments worldwide are spending trillions of dollars into green energy. And there's here in Europe, particularly in the EU space, there's a huge deal about the EU Green Deal. I'm not going to go into that, it's too political, but you can definitely understand that there will be a huge demand for jobs related to sustainability, to green energy, renewable energy, and so forth. Number 4 is, again, something that I know for sure they're right, and if you do get into it, you will have massive, massive success, and that is cybersecurity and risk management. Why? Well, the more we rely on AI, the more vulnerable we will become to cyber threats. Clearly, because we're basically putting even more of our powers, personal or business related, into technology. So cybersecurity is going to become massively important over the next 5 to 10 years. In fact, Cybersecurity Ventures predicts that this type of jobs are going to increase in demand 30 to 40% over the next 5 years. So what kind of jobs can you be preparing for and looking for? AI-powered threat analyst, where you can detect cyber attacks before they happen based on monitoring patterns. You can look into becoming a quantum cryptographer, where you can secure data against next-gen AI hacking. You can look into becoming an AI risk manager, where you can assess the legal and ethical implications and risks of AI in a business. I mean, who would have thought that this would be a job, right? But in 2024, we've seen the first ever AI-driven cyber attacks. And as a result, AI security jobs are exploding. And I've read that in the US alone, they're expecting 700,000 new cybersecurity roles by 2027. This is massive. And number 5, if you're more on the creative side, then you can definitely look into creative and experienced designers. I mean, we can talk a lot about creativity. That's something that I have been so massively passionate about looking into. But because AI can generate content, but it cannot understand human emotion and culture or aesthetics, I believe and I agree that this is an area that will become very, very interesting for anyone looking to grow in that space over the next 5 to 10 years. And in fact, there's a McKinsey report that predicts creative tech jobs will grow 25%, I think, by 2030. So what can you do? You can look into becoming an AI-powered virtual experience designer, for example, where you create immersive AI-generated content. Or you can do human-centered AI design. So you're using AI interface to make it feel more natural. Or you can become a Gen AI prompt engineer, right? It's not so creative, but it would lead to creative outcomes. And this leads me to think about the metaverse. I know it hasn't been much of a hype recently, but in the background, it is still being something that companies are investing a lot in. And now with AI-generated music and video and art in general, I believe we're going to see this huge surge in anything that has to do with AI-generated content. We can debate whether that's really creativity or not, so let me know in the comments down below if you want me to make a video talking about this, because as I said, it's something that I have been passionately looking into in the last few months. So I think if you look into this, the biggest truth about AI-driven job creation is that most of the careers that will dominate in 2030, 2035, they probably don't even exist yet. They don't have names, right? Just like in 2000, no one could predict that YouTubers and social media managers or drone operators would be a full-time position, right? You told someone even 15 years ago that your full-time job is to be a YouTuber, they would have laughed at you. Now everybody wants to become one. right? So I think the real opportunity isn't just in learning AI, it's in learning how to create new ways of working with AI. Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about the jobs that are actually disappearing. Because in the World Economic Forum report, they do have a whole list, okay? We do need to answer a couple questions. Which jobs are indeed disappearing and why? What's the pattern behind job extinction so people can predict and adapt to future changes? And what should you be doing instead? Okay, according to the WEF Future of Jobs Report 2025, as I said, 92 million jobs will disappear over the next 5 to 10 years. And the jobs that are going extinct are basically the ones that have this thing in common. They follow clear, repetitive rules. I mean, a lot of jobs do that. Trust me. The high-risk jobs look something like this: clerical and administrative jobs, data entry clerks, because AI can process and organize data 1,000 times faster than humans, right? Secretaries and executive assistants, because now AI can handle scheduling and emails and meeting notes, so that is being replaced. Things related to customer support, particularly in retail, but not only. We're seeing cashiers going away because self-checkout and AI-driven payment systems are everywhere. Call center agents, because there are AI chatbots that can handle most of the customer inquiries. So a lot of the level 1 and level 2 support are going to be probably moving to AI. Basic accounting and finance jobs, anything related to bookkeeping, payroll clerks, because obviously AI-powered accounting software is probably going to replace manual entry. You can even do that now, as well as bank tellers, because digital banking has been a thing for many years, but more and more so we're going to see this type of jobs becoming redundant. And then basic writing or graphic design jobs like junior copywriter or entry-level designer, because with AI, a lot of that entry-level work is being replaced by AI. So as you can see, the pattern is very simple, and it's actually quite easy to predict if AI is coming for your job or not. All you need to do is ask yourself, does my job involve mostly repetitive tasks? That's a good question mark for you there. Also ask yourself, can my work be written as a step-by-step process? Another red flag. And the third one is, does my job rely on analyzing data rather than making human-driven decisions? Because AI is very good at that. So if the answer is yes to any of these, then you might be questioning whether that's a good career path for you, or maybe you want to look into something else. So as I said, the threat is not AI, is stagnation, because there is a ton of opportunity while there is some fear. But AI is not the enemy, I think. The real danger is not in the technology itself. The danger, in my opinion, is staying stuck while the world moves forward. And this actually reminds me of something really interesting that we learned many, many years ago back in my MBA. Because there's a pattern that every time the world changes, especially when it comes to technology, this happens. And some people see it coming and get ahead, and some people wait, watching from the sidelines, unsure of when to move. And then some people do nothing at all until it's too late. We're going to talk about them. And AI right now is reshaping everything, right? Jobs, industries, entire economies, you name it. And it's happening super fast, right? I think it doesn't matter whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter whether you think it's fair or not. We can discuss about that. I have very strong opinion. But I think the only thing that matters is how we respond to this, okay? Because the world is changing, with or without us. So where do we stand? And I want to talk to you about really, really quickly, but it's going to help you understand where this is going. There's a book called Crossing the Chasm: Why Some People Adapt and Others Get Left Behind. As I said, every time there's a major technological shift, people split into groups. And it has happened for every major revolution in history, from the Industrial Revolution to the internet to the AI. At the front of the curve, it's who is called the innovator in the book, right? It's the risk taker. The people who want to jump headfirst before anybody else. They want to experiment early, they want to embrace change, and sure, some of them do fail, but many of them end up leading the way. Then the second category is called early adopters. Those are the forward thinkers. They don't jump in first, but they do move very quickly. They see the shift coming, they can predict it, and they don't wait for permission. They do make the jump before the majority realizes what's happening. And then you've got the big mass, right? The early majority. They're more cautious, obviously, but they're still open-minded. They do wait a little bit, but they move, let's say, ahead of the majority. Next is the late majority. This is a big mass, and they're the skeptics, the ones who resist until they have no choice. They do not move toward change willingly, they only move when they have to because they feel they're forced to. And then finally, we have the laggards. These are the people who refuse to change at all. They're the ones who are still using the old style phones without a touchscreen, I guess. I mean, these are the people who ignore the signs, dismiss the warnings, and by the time they finally realize what's happening, it's too late. We've moved to the next technology altogether. So this, as I said, is called crossing the chasm. Every major shift has a gap, a moment where the early adopters and the forward thinkers jump and everyone else is left deciding whether to follow or stay behind. And the most dangerous place to be is towards the end of the curve, stuck in the middle, doing nothing and being the laggard. But probably the laggards are also assuming that role, but being in the middle and doing nothing is probably even worse. And I wanted to bring this up because right now we are in that chasm. AI is here and the early adopters are learning how to use it. But the question is, where do you position yourself? Are you with the early adopters, with the early majority, or with the late majority? Which one are you? Let me know in the comments down below. And I think the worst place you can be in is the place of the frog in the boiling water. I'm guessing you know already the story. But essentially, if you think that when people see massive change coming, they act immediately, you need to think again, because that does not happen most of the time. If you don't know what I'm referring to, there's this old story about a frog. Essentially, if you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it jumps out immediately because it senses the danger. Obviously, it reacts quickly. But if you take that same frog and you put it in a lukewarm water and then slowly, gradually turn up the heat, it does not jump. It stays there because it gets comfortable and it doesn't notice the danger because the change is happening too slowly. I don't think the change with AI happens that slowly, but I think a lot of people might misunderstand it for yet another change, and that is not the case. 10 years ago, AI couldn't replace jobs. It was clunky, it was inefficient. We used to train AI about 8 years ago to distinguish between a muffin and a cat. And I think people saw that and they didn't take it seriously. But today, AI is advancing very fast and it has capabilities that we have never imagined, or maybe we were hoping or dreaming it would have, but didn't really think it would get to that point so fast. And with what we're seeing by 2030, if you have not taken action, if you have not upskilled and adapted, if you have not figured out how to work alongside AI instead of being replaced by it, you might not have a choice anymore. So I'm being really serious in hopefully helping you understand that this is a time that we might not face several times in our lifetime. And most people are not jumping, not because they don't see AI coming, not because they don't know they should adapt, but because the change doesn't feel urgent, okay? So I want you to understand that this is a moment in time where you need to make a big decision. It's whether you want to stay in the pot of boiling water or not. So now that you know what's going on, now that you see the chasm in front of you, my question for you is, what do you do about it? How do you make sure you're not the person who waits too long? Because you cannot be the person who ignores the sign. You cannot be the person who gets left behind. Sure, the best time to adapt was yesterday, the next best time is now. So here's how you move forward. First, you need to become an early adopter, as early as still feasible, okay? Most people hesitate, they think I'll deal with it later, and then suddenly later becomes too late, so don't be that person. The key is to start early. Document yourself, inform yourself, and understand what does it mean to you. Experiment with AI if that's something you haven't done yet, and try and understand how it can maybe change your niche or your industry. Explore. Okay, at least be open. Now, because AI is not necessarily coming for your job, but it could be very relevant in your industry, you might be the person that becomes unreplaceable because you're the only one or one of the very few who can use AI in your niche. So think about that. Now, second, you need to focus on future-proof skills. We've talked about that at the beginning. The World Economic Forum report talks about them as well. I can make a dedicated video and we can go into a lot of details on where I agree and where I disagree with what the report talks about in terms of future-proof skills. But essentially, if we want to look at what they're stating, they're saying creative thinking, emotional intelligence, critical problem solving, leadership, and influence. These are the skills that cannot be replaced. The future does not belong to those who are just technically skilled. Okay, we need to have these as well. Number 3, stop doing what AI can do better. The fastest way to fall behind is to spend your time on things that AI can already do faster, cheaper, and more efficiently. So if your job is based on repetition, on predictable patterns, on pure information processing, then start thinking, where is the next step? What's coming? And then prepare for that. I mean, you need to free up your brain for high-level thinking. You need to find ways that you can add more value than just the basic processing, because that is probably very, very soon going to be automated. And then finally, keep learning and reinventing yourself. Every time the world changes, there are two types of people: the ones who get comfortable and then struggle when everything shifts around them, and the ones who stay ahead and keep learning and never stop evolving. So make a decision. Which one do you choose to be? And let me know in the comments down below why you've made that decision. Because looking around us, everything is changing. Every industry is changing. Every job is changing. Every skill set is evolving. And the ability to reinvent yourself, to learn fast, and to adapt is probably going to be one of our greatest assets. Are you waiting for change to happen to you, or are you making the change before it's forced upon you? Where on the spectrum do you choose to be at this memorable point in time or of our history? Okay. Remember, AI is not the enemy. AI is a tool. We just need to know how to work with it, right? But I think the biggest threat is waiting too long to act, is being stuck and not doing anything. The world is moving forward with or without us. So are we going to jump before it's too late? And that brings us to the next big question: who will dominate in the next 20 to 30 years? As I said, in my opinion, there are 5 types of people who will not only survive, they will thrive, they will dominate in the AI era. So if you do want me to make a video where I talk about these 5 types, let me know in the comments down below, and I will very, very gladly talk about it, because it has taken me a lot of years in the AI space, but also a lot of months and years thinking about differentiating human from AI. So let me know if you're interested. Happy to make a video about that. All right, you guys, this was a long one, but I truly hope that you got something out of it. Let me know if this kind of ranty videos are something that you want me to make more of, or if you want the shorter, more to the point, more practical videos as well. I would love to hear more from you guys. I love reading your comments, so keep leaving me your comments. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for giving me so long out of your day, and thank you for being here still, if you're still watching. Like this video if you did. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so. Share this with anyone in your life who you think needs to listen to what I'm saying. And until next time, I suggest you go ahead and watch this video over here. I'll see you soon. Bye.